Dan Gilmour. I'm director of the Center for Citizen Media, which is affiliated with the Board Internet and Society at Harvard University Law School, as well as the Graduate School of Journalism at the University of California at Berkeley.
Well, talk a little bit about citizen media. How do you define citizen media?
Well, it's not easy to define, but the simplest and easiest broad description of citizen media is things we create ourselves using the sort of democratized tools of media that are now increasingly ubiquitous. Citizen journalism, which is my focus, is a bit more difficult to define precisely, but it ranges from, for example, the act of a man in the London Underground capturing what became the canonical image of the bombings in July 2005 with his mobile phone camera, all the way to people doing blogs about their communities, whether geographic or communities of interest, to people working with professionals, as in the hybrid Oh My News experiment in Korea, to professional organizations working with their audiences, and many other things. It's a very wide variety.
And you've done a lot of focusing on sort of the local aspects of this, how to get local people involved in doing local journalism again, right?
I've tried to look broadly, but I'm particularly interested in the citizen media that fills gaps being left by traditional media, because it seems to me to be a perfect application for the kind of process that is being created.
Looking broadly then, can you give me some examples of how internet censorship is affecting citizen media?
Well, I think in the most obvious way, in some countries, governments are either restricting the rights of people to talk about issues that are of high importance, or after the fact, going after people who have dared to do so. And this is not a new trend in the free speech area. It's quite expected and quite unfortunate at the same time, but it ranges widely around the world, and we're going to be fighting these battles as human beings for a long time to come, for the ability to tell the truth and to tell truth to power.
It seems like a lot of bloggers in the West, if you want to call it that, don't suffer from these sorts of censorship problems. And the one thing that I've sort of gathered from doing some reporting on this in the past has been that a lot of people in the West are generally unaware of how bad the situation is for the rest of the world. Are there ways to correct that?
I think the internet, if it will do anything for us, is to help us communicate and collaborate with people in other cultures. Of course, there is at least in the U.S., the language issue, which is that people here don't tend to speak other languages. But the ability of the technology to help us collaborate and communicate, I think, gives us an opportunity. I should point out that there are things going on in the West that worry me a great deal, all the way from copyright restrictions that cause people to get in trouble for things they say effectively, all the way to something that's coming if we don't watch out, which is the ability of the broadband access providers, which are narrowing down in most communities to two, the cable and phone companies, their ability and certainly their desire to decide which bits get delivered at what speed to which people in what order, etc. If that doesn't turn into some subtle form of restriction, I'd be very surprised. While it's true that only governments can censor, if there's a monopoly or duopoly of access, that is a very troubling free speech question.
So net neutrality sort of creating almost an economic kind of censorship, people not able to afford, or people's bits not deemed as important as other people's bits.
Potentially so. It is not happening yet, except in very rare cases. but the potential for this is clear and quite worrying.
Have you seen examples, though, of sort of the global set of bloggers coming together on these kinds of issues to try to help each other?
Well, there have been a lot of outpourings of blogger support for people who have been arrested in countries outside the U.S., and I think with some impact from time to time. I think it needs to go beyond bloggers. I think we need to help people who are, by and large, an audience, find their way to material from outside their own comfort zone, which includes our country, to see what people are saying. And that's why sites like Global Voices Online are so valuable, because they're helping us understand the world. And then when someone who's getting a following on one of those sites gets in trouble, then it's not just a bunch of bloggers talking, although however valuable it is for the bloggers to get upset about this and active. Maybe then people who have been heretofore the audience for this will start getting active too, and I think that would have an additional value in dislodging some of the lack of knowledge that's out there.
What about groups like your own? Is this an issue that you guys think about and are looking at and trying to do something about?
Yes, but it's not been the focus of my activity. I'm honored to be a fellow at the Berkman Center, which focuses very, very hard on internet issues and certainly censorship issues in other projects, and I do what I can to support those. But it's not a primary focus of my work because other people are doing so much better work in this than I could possibly do myself.
And is there advice that you give individual bloggers when they run up against this?
Well, one thing that we're doing, and it's about to be announced, is a citizen media law project that includes my Center for Citizen Media and the Cyber Law Clinic here at the law school. We're launching a project that will, at early days, be focused on the U.S., but we have several advisors from other parts of the world already, and we do plan to look much more broadly at these issues globally. So I hope we will offer some good advice from time to time, but it's early for us, and we're going to certainly follow the lead of people who are already doing good work in this area, not at all intending to reinvent wheels. That's pretty foolish.
Dan Gilmour, thank you very much.
A pleasure. Thank you.